what y'all think, but I think that's pretty.
Hello again. It's Tokibi in the dark as we're headed to our second series of the day, Division B West, between Macro Machines and Roll1Esports. Now, this is going to be one of the flex games. This isn't one of the weekly games. And hopefully the standings page works. I know it sometimes breaks if I don't let it refresh properly, but not so working. Okay, so Macro Machines currently at the bottom of the standings with 1 point. Roll1Esports currently sitting around middle of the pack with 8 points. So this should still be a decently close game coming in. Neither of these two teams are really at the top of the bracket. And frankly, like we saw in the last game, that is usually what brings out the best and most entertaining matches. Now, the map pick and ban has already come through. Macro Machines got first map pick. And they banned Volskaya Foundry and Towers of Doom. Roll1Esports banned away Braxis Holdout and Alterac Pass. And first map is going to be that Battlefield of Eternity, one of those fun 2-lane battle maps. Now, we are still waiting for a couple of players to join in. And for those of you that are still here, I actually wanted to have a little talk, a little Q&A about this channel. So I do want to keep casting, but I want to keep trying to add more. And I think there's a lot of tools that Twitch has that I'm not really using right now. So specifically, I know a lot of you watch basically any cast that I do, not just specific teams. And huge shout out to all of you that have been doing that. And I was wondering if there's anything you'd like me to add for the channel point rewards. That's first off. And second off, I also was wondering if you'd be interested in me adding predictions to all of these series. Now, I know some people have mixed opinions on it. Some people see it as gambling. Some people see it as harmless fun. And then also, depending on the rewards I choose to add, could change things up. So just a little something to ask about. If any of you have any opinions on that, please let me know. I'll be thinking about that as well. Only just got the idea to actually do something with that between these two series. So maybe we'll be able to bring out something more entertaining with that later on. But regardless, right now, we are just waiting on 2 more players to join, and then hopefully we can get started. It's still a bit before the start time. But I guess, you know what? I guess I can just start a prediction. Let me see if I even have the button for that. How do I even do this? I have never done that before. Oh, I already have the button. I just didn't see it. Okay, let's do a prediction. Who will win? Blue side, Macro Machines. Red side, Roll1Esports. And I guess since we haven't started yet, I can give it 5 minutes. Boom. And I will apologize at the end if I do forget to close this. This is my first time running a prediction, but bring it in. 5 minutes in. Who do you think is going to win? Macro Machines versus Roll1Esports. Should be a pretty fun series. And for those of you that haven't been in earlier, we've had a really fun time today. The first series of the day was an absolute blast. If you've missed it, do check out the VOD later on. I will be posting it to YouTube probably sometime tomorrow whenever I'm on lunch break or slightly slow at work. It only takes me a couple minutes out of actual active choice. And wow, Roll1Esports at 6K predictions. I wonder if I'm able to see who bet that much. I'm assuming that would be Vendrick. And we do have 10 points for Macro Machines. Let's get that massive win. Super value. But yeah, and if any of you do think of something you want to add to the rewards, right now I only have VIP for 100,000. I may swap that out later as well, or at least make that a temporary VIP. I do like to leave my... How do I put this? I do like to have my VIPs for people that have actually helped out a lot in the community, not just people that have gotten a lot of points. Betting on red because their name's awesome. That's how it should be. That's how I always bet when I do roulette. Yeah. So we are still waiting on those two players. Hopefully they will be able to join shortly and soon. I would like to get this series started as well. But with Battlefield of Eternity, I am wondering kind of what the picks are going to be. And specifically, I'm curious if either of these two teams will pick the Greymane. Greymane obviously really good at the racing, but with this last patch, so much more powerful in Worgen form. We saw it in our last series. We saw it last night as well over in... Oh, I forgot what division it was. It was forever ago. But with the new tankiness, with the extra 5 armor, it doesn't sound like a lot, but the DPS that Greymane's already able to output in Worgen form is ridiculous. If you pair that with an extra 5% damage reduction, it's so much. It is so powerful. And I'm really hoping to see more of it. I think Greymane's definitely going to start sneaking up, and especially Worgen form is so entertaining to watch. It's so much more fun than the cursed bullet human form for Greymane. But obviously we're still going to have some pretty usual picks. We're still going to have the Vala getting picked here, I suspect. I have noticed Zul'jin has also fallen off ever since they made the changes that kind of benefit more the caster Zul'jin instead of the auto-attacking Zul'jin. So could be pretty interesting for that as well. Now, ninth player has joined. Still waiting for one more, and then we will be able to get started. And yeah, and we do have Hoku in this game as well. For those of you who don't know, Macro Machines is where Hoku plays. And Hoku always talking about Artanis, and Battlefield of Eternity is one of the few maps where Artanis can actually be played successfully. Really good at racing, really good at the fight. The pulse is massive. That massive AoE blind makes it so difficult to race into it as well. Actually, quite a few names here that I see a lot. I mean, I guess at this point, I just kind of slowly but surely am recognizing everyone from NGS. I am still relatively new to the community, but I cast so many different games across so many different divisions. I'm starting to recognize like everyone's names. Dark Knight, Ratson, Hoku, Rocket W, Juaniba, Dr. Evil, Velvet. Like, I don't know. Just a lot of names to learn, but bit by bit, I'm getting there. What I'm hoping to learn next, at least from the HOTS casting side, is talent builds. That's what I'm going to be primarily focusing on. I've even started. I'm typically one of those people that learns by doing. So if I play those heroes, I learn their builds, then I can kind of commentate better on that, because I start understanding the nuances. I start understanding why certain builds are better in certain situations, vice versa. And I'm in the process of learning Anduin right now, and just a couple of other healers as well. Little fun story since we have the time anyway. Anduin, I had a game on Anduin the other day, and it was my first time pulling it out in ranked. I've played it in quick match a few times, and like, and quick match is one of those things, like, it's always single healer with 4 DPS versus usually 5 DPS. So it's like hard to get specifically Anduin down, because you can't really use the light bomb. You can't really use the leap of faith properly. And I'm low plat. I think in that game I was just got back down to plat 5 from plat 4. And it was a diamond 5 average game, where for some reason they tossed me in. I never play in groups either. I only solo. So my first time playing Anduin in ranked was in this, well, for me, it's a pretty high elo lobby. And I was getting flamed so bad by a few players. I don't take it personally. Like, I understand when people get frustrated, but it was so funny to me. I did my best, did not manage to win. It wasn't 100% my fault, but it was like 90% my fault. Our Lee Min could have played a bit better too, and maybe we could have been able to snag the win, but I definitely take that loss. But it does seem like the 10th player should be logging in now. That's what they're saying in the chat. And then hopefully we can get started. It'd be a pretty banger series. I didn't think we'd get started pretty soon. They did the map picks like almost 15 minutes ago at this point. But I guess there was like 1 or 2 stragglers that were running a bit late. Get roasted or get goated. The only options. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I deserved to get roasted that game. Like it was bad. I even told them like I don't know why I got matched into this game, but I'm learning Anduin right now. Please don't blame too hard. I will say though, for in their defense, most players were pretty nice about it. It was more banter rather than flame. There's just one player that had it out for me, but they did that even before I made any mistakes. Some people just don't like it when people try playing in rank. They're like, why didn't you play in quick match? Well, I did. That's my excuse. Yeah, what other little stories and little trickles I can give you? I guess I can give you a little bit of forewarning, but during Easter, I'm going to be pretty busy for a decent while. So if I mean, like I said, I'm new to NGS, so I don't know how many games I actually play during those kinds of holidays. I don't know if any are played at all. But if there are any over that long weekend, not going to be able to cast any of that. Hopefully other casters will be able to if there are any. I mean, El Taquito's been casting a lot. Our Raka should be back in business by then. I saw Raka did pick up a cast next week. So she should be coming back slowly but surely. There's about a grand total of 2 healers that you can play decently well. Have you played any other healer in the team through the game? Yeah, that's pretty much with me right now as well. I can play Brightwing, but Brightwing, mechanically speaking, is probably the easiest healer. Not too much to do about it. You don't really have to worry about managing mana. You don't really have to worry about your abilities. They're all like point and click. And the positioning's pretty simple as well, since you have that double blink when you need it after the heroic. But it does look like we are pretty much set up. All 10 members are here doing the ready check. Hopefully we can get into the draft momentarily. And the banter is continuing between these two teams, but everyone's ready. We're going to be heading into game number 1 momentarily. But yeah, learning healers is always fun. I do think I'll be able to figure out Anduin. Just need a couple more reps, and from there should be good.
Battlefield of eternity.
But either way, the conversation's done. Anything personable about me is now over. We are now in full caster mode. It is going to be Macro Machines versus Roll1Esports, game number 1 for Battlefield of Eternity. Now, it is the new patch. We have had a couple changes. Oriole's slightly nerfed. Dehaka, W build nerfed decently. Still playable, but definitely got nerfed. Takes a little bit longer to clear waves. But it is still very strong overall. And with that talent for the drag, it's still very powerful. So we're probably going to be seeing some Dehaka. Maybe not on this map, but definitely in the series. Now, both these two teams, they like their Zeratul. I'm wondering if anyone's going to be picking it up. Anyone who's in that Division B chat probably saw the 40 to 50 messages of Zeratul puns. Now, we'll see if that was all just banter or if any of them are really going to go for it. But Vala is going to be the first ban from Roll1Esports. And it is interesting that they banned it themselves. They do have first pick. So even if they weren't planning on picking it themselves, it might have been a good idea to leave it for their second ban. On the off chance the Macro Machines bans it first, it kind of gives them a free pick. But what I'm really curious about, I mentioned it just a little bit ago, but I really want to see Greymane today. I want to see Greymane on Battlefield of Eternity. I think it's going to be really good. Worgen form specifically has always been higher DPS anyway, but now that it's a strong build even on its own for team fighting, I really want to see Greymane. Stukov going to be the next ban. Macro Machines going to be banning that away. And we have seen a decent amount of Stukov today, especially with the variant combo. But even outside of it, Stukov's just a very powerful healer. Has the extendo arm, has a swipe. Super good at peeling for the backline as well. And sorry, Hoku, you're in the game, but Artanis will be banned away. Not going to be able to play it today, but hey, Artanis showed in the draft. We can take that as a compromise. No one's going to play it, but at least we are all aware of Artanis. It's Artanis Awareness Day. But I'm wondering what that is going to leave for Macro Machines to ban away. No tanks have been banned away, and it doesn't seem like they will be banned away. Hanzo's going to be the final ban. Now, obviously, there's still a lot of very meta, powerful tanks available. Joanna's available, Garrosh, Diablo, and Li Ming also still left open for Dr. Evil. And Li Ming obviously going to be able to deal a ton of damage over the wall, going to be able to really race down onto these immortals. But Sonya insta-locked for Hoku. And I will shout out, Vendor called it before the stream delay for anyone that hasn't noticed. But Zeratul also locked in for Arcane 13th. Now that's interesting. I do believe Hoku is typically the offlaner for this team. And Arcane 13th is one of the 4 core players. But that's definitely going to change quite a bit there. And it's going to be a pretty interesting team fights coming in later on in the game. Zeratul obviously scales super well, able to kill on the backline. But Tyrande and Garrosh going to get locked in for Juaniba and rock your world. Now, Garrosh should be able to do pretty well into Zeratul, especially if it is the taunt build. Could definitely get that extra... could definitely pick up the Zeratul, because Zeratul is pretty squishy, kind of relies on being able to blink in and out of the fights. Is able to just go invisible, hard to lock down, but with the Garrosh, it's definitely doable. That being said, the next bans are going to be coming out now. It will be the Rainer banned away by Macro Machines. And it looks like they want to prevent Roll1Esports from going to full race mode. Li Ming's already going to be able to race pretty well, but Li Ming does have the issue with mana. If the fights go on a little bit too long beforehand, or if Dr. Evil doesn't have a chance to reset or top up, could run out of mana during those races, especially if a team fight also breaks out for it. So wouldn't hurt to have a second option. Now Diablo will be the next ban coming out from Roll1Esports. And Macro Machines, they have a decent amount of damage, so I don't even know if they need any full true DPS, but I would like someone that will be able to race. But it seems like they're holding it off for 10th pick, because Joanna and Brightwing going to get locked in for Ratson and Seralath. So they're going to have a lot of zone control with this build right now. I assume this Sonya is going to go Leap. Wrath of the Berserker is good in some situations, but I believe for Battlefield of Eternity, especially with their team comp, they're going to be building a team fighting comp. They are not looking to race. They are looking to fight. And now more lockdown and more race, and we do see that Greymane for Roll1Esports. Uther and Greymane locked in for Velvet and Zad. Now, the Greymane, I was super excited about. The new Worgen form is so powerful. I'm really hoping to see Zad go through that build instead of the auto attack build. But we'll have to see. I mean, the auto attack build is strong. It didn't get nerfed, so it's still decent. But Worgen form did just get buffed. Maybe the exact differences aren't going to be completely known yet, but will be interesting. And now Dark Knight with the final pick, gonna take the Chromie. And Chromie is pretty solid here. Chromie is one of those few mages that's able to output pretty consistent DPS. And even the auto attacks really aren't that weak. As long as you have a lot of those little... I'm not even sure what they're called. The sand clones? Yep. But either way, everyone's predictions have been put in. We are getting set for game number 1. And Battlefield of Eternity, going to be a fun map to watch as we head into game number 1. Alright, and we are back, just finishing loading into the game right now between Macro Machines and Roll1Esports. And I have noticed some people in the chat are saying that this Greymane is going to be very difficult to kill unless Zeratul's perfect. But I think even with that, they locked in the Uther. Uther could very well go D-Shield here and just prevent any and all damage going towards Zad. And if that's the case, Greymane already so much tankier, already going to be able to bring out so much damage in Worgen form. It's definitely going to be difficult for the side of Macro Machines, unless they're able to get pickoffs early. I think what their team comp is good at, though, and what they could hope to do, is try and burst someone out during a team fight. There's a lot of squishies on the side of Roll1Esports. There's still the Li Ming, there's still the Tyrande. if they're able to catch out multiple members with Leap, with Condemn, and possibly even Temporal Loop, if they do decide to go that way for Dark Knight, there's a lot of options to win the 5v5 team fight. It's just going to be harder to pick off individuals. Now it is going to be 3v3 in the bot lane and 2v2 in the top lane. Now this is interesting. Definitely not the usual lane setup we see. And it's going to be Arcane 13th and Hoku in the top lane versus Zad and Velvet. And level 1, it is going to be that Worgen talent. That's going to be a very powerful little gray main, able to be super tanky, able to deal a ton of DPS. But now I haven't really seen a lot of teams pull this out. With this being Heroes of the Storm, with this being Battlefield of Eternity, there's a lot of options they can do in terms of macro. And there's not a lot of camps either, so as long as it's even, you can kind of set up however you like. Now they are going to start pushing over to this bot side. The Polymorph is even going to come out as Rocky W did have a little bit of an angle to look for Ratson, but the Iron Skin was also popped. But no extra defense needed there. As Dr. Evil chucking a couple Arcane Orbs into the wall, just trying to deal some more DPS. Ratson going to get thrown back, but it is just Ratson. Not someone that can burst, especially not with only 3 members in the bot lane. But they are winning pretty hard on this top side. Roll1Esports just winning out in the trades. And I think that makes a lot of sense. They have a healer. With this double healer comp, it's definitely going to make this wave more powerful. And it looks like they're actually swapping what they're going to be doing. Hoku and Seraloth going to match top side. And Arcane 13th is going to run down bottom, looking for Dr. Evil. But once again, I do think both these lanes should go in favor of Roll1Esports. When you only have one healer on the side of Macro Machines, you will always be falling behind somewhere. Now, I do think having the healer top might be a little bit better, but Arcane 13th looking for the backline, but will go down instead. Dr. Evil almost gets burst out, but had the heal last second coming out from Juaniba. But even with that kill, they have a massive HP advantage. They have a massive positioning advantage. Now Rocky W looking for the extra play. Now it's going to be 3v3 over in the bottom side. Rocky W just trying to survive. Has that bonus armor. Has the healing coming out of Juaniba, but it's not enough. Dark Knight able to get that kill, and they will be able to secure that camp for Macro Machines. Now on the top side, Zad and Velvet going to be able to take out the sister camp on the top side. Still pretty even in that regard. Was a 1-for-1 play, but Macro Machines currently do have about a half-level lead. And I'm wondering if there's just a massive wave that hasn't been picked up somewhere. Yeah, that's exactly it. Bot lane going to have a pretty big wave. That should definitely even out a little bit, as both sides are now hitting onto their Bruiser camp. Macro Machines will be able to secure theirs, and Roll1Esports will need just a little bit longer, but not that much more. But the Immortals have spawned. And now this is where the fights are really going to be coming through. And Juaniba has full mana, or sorry, not Juaniba, Dr. Evil, not at full mana, at about half HP, is going to be looking to try and get some poke damage onto these Immortals. Now, one benefit they have is they do have the Brightwing on the side of Macro Machines, able to provide a little bit of spell armor, and will allow them to tank more of those Arcane Orbs and Magic Missiles to prevent that damage going into the Immortal. But now over on this top side, Velvet trading with Arcane 13th. Velvet might be in a pretty bad spot. Actually walking to the enemy team. Gonna get Polymorph. Has the Hand of Justice, but doesn't matter. Hoku with the Ancient Spear will be able to get it. But now Seraloth could be caught out a little bit. Does cleanse. But the Soothing Mist is not going to be enough. Now they're going to be DPSing just a little bit back and forth onto these Immortals. But the trade definitely favoring the side of Macro Machines. They got that extra pick. They got that extra DPS for now. And yet, as I say that, it is just Hoku trying to DPS onto it. So level 7 still not going to be coming through for either of these two teams. But halftime actually going to favor Roll1Esports. Now, Velvet is back. It is 5v5 again. And the level lead not really going anywhere either. So, and with this setup, with Zad and Dr. Evil being able to fully race into it, this should be pretty free for Roll1Esports unless Macro Machines is able to pull out a team fight. And it does look like that's what they're trying to do. But with the Wrecking Ball, they're able to buy enough time that the team fight doesn't even have a chance to start. Now, Seraloth actually goes pretty far forward, and without Blink Heal, could be in danger, but is able to just back away. They have the Hand of Justice on Arcane 13th. And that right there is an example of how much burst they can do during those stuns. Hand of Justice is going to be perfect for taking down the Zeratul. They're also going to have the Wrecking Ball into the Groundbreaker. and later on may even get the taunt coming in from Rock Your W. Now, with this Immortal, they are pushing into the bot side. Time Trap just going to actually block their tank from walking forward. Ratson going to be delayed a little bit. Now, the wall's already gone. And that's another one of those powers of having Dr. Evil. But now Ratson gets thrown into the backline, and the burst damage from Zad is so high. The entire team just goes immediately into them as Arcane 13th accidentally ends up taking a combo from Dr. Evil. But we'll be able to back away. Now this fort is already at a quarter HP, so no matter what happens now, unless they all end up going down, but now Sterilith is the one that gets poked into the backside and will get finished off. And they also get the fort on top of that. Roll1Esports doing so well on Arcane 13th. Might burn down, but will be able to regen just enough. 15 HP, gonna be the final number. But either way, huge victory for Roll1Esports. They're going to have a lot of priority over on the bot side. They're going to have this tempo to take down the siege camp. And no one from macro machines will really be able to deal with it. And on top of that, later on when teamfights do start breaking out for other camps or potentially for the next Immortals, it's going to be more difficult for macro machines because they're the ones that already DPS solely. They don't have the racing composition. They have the teamfight composition. And now Hoku's actually starting onto the siege camp. Sad. They could be looking for the fight, but they do have Saraleth coming in with the phase shift. Arcane 13th also diving onto the backline onto Velvet. We'll be able to take Velvet down to half HP. But now the entire roster of Roll1Esports is coming up top. But the siege camp's already finished off, so they're just going to be here as a team to clear it. Now just a couple autos having to come through with the entire team there. The siege camp obviously not going to be able to accomplish too much. But that's still going to be actually a structure going down. It was a fake structure. It was just a little bit of an HP bar left on that cannon tower. But either way, Roll1Esports will be able to finish that off. Will be able to take away that experience that they need for themselves. Now, the Immortals are spawning in about 15 seconds. And this is where things could get spicy. Level 10s are about to come through. But Roll1Esports, they decided they want their Bruiser Camp first. And this Bruiser Camp should get them that level 10. As Hoku's able to get level 10 for macro machines over on the bot side. But neither side is going for the race quite yet. They want to get those Bruiser Camps. They want to get those pushes going in. But Roll1Esports, they're the first to get it. And they're going to start immediately DPSing onto this. And once again, Zad does have the Worgen build right now. And in fact, even went for that heroic. And actually, I need to check the name. The Go for the Throat. But now they're jumping on to the Garrosh. The Garrosh is going to get quite low. And Rock Your W not going to go down right away. And now Arcane 13 is also going to get stunned. And so much healing coming out. Sarah is also going to get followed down. Now Hoku and Ratson trying to run away. Same with Dark Knight. Dr. Evil's chasing. Not a lot of mana though. But Hoku's the one that's still trying to get away. And they're going to get the jump. They're going to get the stun onto Ratson. And with the Lunar Flare, with the Groundbreaker, just a couple more hits. But the Iron Skin comes out just in the nick of time. But it's still a 2-for-0. And a full Immortal going the way of Roll1Esports. Unless something crazy is able to happen. Right now, they're just going to be resetting on Dr. Evil. Obviously, it doesn't have a lot of mana. Zad doesn't care as much. Doesn't require mana quite as badly. And a little bit of damage was dealt. But this is going to be a near full shield Immortal. And this fort is very low health. This fort for sure will go down. But the question is, what else can they get with it? Now, I'll bring the talents back up. This is going to be a very difficult spot. And incidentally, it is Divine Storm. It's not going to be the Divine Shield coming out from Velvet. And I think that does make sense. When you have the double healer composition, you don't need quite as much defense. Zad already isn't dying. May as well add the extra lockdown to pick off more mobile heroes such as Saralith wow. My words aren't working. On the Brightwing or Arcane 13th on the Zeratul. But now they are going to be hitting onto these walls. This Immortal's already taken down the fort and still in ranged form onto this wall. And I don't think that can be overstated. Now Hoku gets thrown to the backline and will use Leap defensively. That's a major cooldown forced out. And Arcane 13th also looking to the backline, but into the fray will keep Dr. Evil safe. And now with this Immortal also getting finished off, it's going to get a little bit of poke damage onto this keep. Not too much, but the fact that it's able to reach the keep at all, that's a huge move right now for Roll1Esports. And now they can go back to the bot side, clear their waves, take their time, dot their I's, cross their T's, and basically just get all the camps on the map. They will have to give up this top lane siege camp as the Sentinel will hit onto Rats and just a little friendly poke. A little wave to say hello. But level 13 is finally up for Roll1Esports, and they are pressuring over towards this bot side. It looks like they have this camp, they have this cannon, and they want to push with it. With a talent advantage, they should be able to get at least something here, as they're really pushing onto this wall. Rocker W going to take a decent amount of damage from Dark Knight. Was standing on the trap, so was fully envisioned. Now Hoku is walking forward, but the first cannon tower is already gone. The siege camp's already pushing in. Cannons here as well. Dark Knight will tank it up a little bit. That's still going to be a decent amount of those structures going down. But Arcane 13th is here in the top side. Going to be able to finish off the wall with the help of the siege minions. And Zad going to clear away the last of it. So both teams trading a couple structures, but those structures that Roll1Esports are hitting, they're much harder to get to. And they're going to provide a lot more value as the game keeps moving forward. Now in the same vein, Macro Machines, they have the little bit of a macro advantage right now. They brought more players over to the bot side. Arcane 13 able to bring up 4 players from Roll1Esports. And because of that, they are able to finish off the cannon towers and the entire wall from the bot lane. Now, that may not seem like much, but when you're down a half level, especially on a map like this, where you can kind of choose your team fight, it takes a while to kill these Immortals, especially with the draft that Macro Machines picked. So being closer in level means you're closer to having those even talents. And Arcane 13th looking for the backline. Might be in a bad spot. Will blink back. And now they're just jumping on Arcane 13th. And with 9 HP, able to get away. But Zad, so much distance with that jump. But it is going to be halftime in favor of Macro Machines. Arcane 13th, that's what we call space created. But how much space did they create? They're still going to be able to DPS pretty hard, and the spawn not in a good spot for Macro Machines. They're definitely going to have to give up this next Immortal. And Ratson looking for trying to delay a little bit. Bruiser Camp going to get finished off by Macro Machines as well. And they have the Polymorph, they have the Blind. Hoku actually goes in and will be zoned away instead. The Immortal will finally go down, but Rocky W could get traded. Is at half HP, getting run down by Hoku. Ancient Spear is going to pull forward, but the taunt onto 2 members, and the Divine Storm into the Starfall. Sephiroth going to go down. Same with Rats and Hoku trying to run away. Arcane 13th trying to run in, but once again, will have to blink away, and with the time trap, we'll be able to get away to safety. But in the meanwhile, massive wave in the top side will finish that keep, and Zad actually chasing on a Hoku as well. And while they are pushing out in this top side with this massive wave, with this 5v3, as Arcane 13th also going to get stunned, going to get thrown into place. Juaniba looking for the plane, but Arcane 13th does have the mobility to get away. And the Immortal's still pushing down in this bot lane. And they're still going to continue going onto this keep. They're going to be able to get both keeps at 13 minutes. This is huge for them. Roll1Esports going to be in a pretty massive advantage. And now Rock Your World going to get pinged over into the backside. Going to take a decent amount of poke damage, but able to heal back. And Arcane 13th is going to get taunted and is going to get blown up by Zad. And now Ratson not going to be able to get pulled back. And now with the extra stun, they are looking towards Ratson once again, trying to buy some time, but there's just nothing they can do. And it does seem like Roll1Esports, they should be able to just clean this up. Very decently short game, 13 minutes. They're able to win the team fights. They're able to win out on those extra pushes. And with that, they will finish off the core, taking down Hoku one final time as game 1 goes to Roll1Esports. But yeah, I mean, it was decently close to start, but at Roll1Esports, they took the lead and they held on to it and they pushed it forward. They did not want to give anything back to Macro Machines. Really well played by them. And I think it was just a bit of a draft difference. I think that their composition was easier to play, especially the Arcane 13th Zeratul. There wasn't really too much they could do with a Divine Storm, with a Hand of Justice, with a Garrosh Taunt, and all the different stunts. It's just impossible for Arcane 13th to ever really look for the backline. And with a double healer and the Grey main, just everyone is too tanky. With that being said, there's still going to be at least one more game. We're going to be looking towards that game 2 between Macro Machines and Roll1Esports. So don't go anywhere.
Garden of Terror.
Now, welcome back, everyone, for game number 2 between Macro Machines and Roll1Esports. Now, we're going to Garden of Terror. Now, it's not a map that's picked super often right now in the NGS, but it is a pretty fun map. Now, it doesn't have the bosses like Cursed Hollow, so really the only objective on this entire map is those Garden Terrors. It is trying to collect those seeds, collect all 3, to start getting those passive pushes, those pretty strong bosses spawning in all 3 lanes. Now the draft has begun. Roll1Esports is going to ban away the fall stat right now. And Macro Machines could look to answer. Now, I would be surprised if they do lock in the Zeratul again. I think that might have been just partially because of the conversation earlier, or in chat earlier today. Would be a little bit surprised to see that locked in a second time. And Stukov going to be the next ban coming out from Macro Machines. So they are going to get rid of that. And actually, Zeratul not going to be able to be picked because Roll1Esports is going to ban it away themselves. Now, for Garden of Terror, Zeratul could have been quite a bit more powerful. Obviously, has huge wave clear, has a lot of different, really power points on this map specifically. Battlefield of Eternity, you do need to fight more than just wave clear, split push, etc. But for Garden of Terror, it's massive. You don't have to. You can just push all day and come back when you into the fights whenever you want. But with the final ban, Nazebo is going to be removed by Macro Machines. Now, first pick is available for Roll1Esports, and I really like the way they played the Graven in game 1, but it is going to be the Hanzo instead for Dr. Evil. Obviously, very consistent as the DPS, very long range, can either help with extra burst damage or can help with that long range engage with the Dragon Arrow. And now Dahaka going to get locked in for Hoku, and I said we're going to see Dahaka later on, and there it is. Always going to be in the game, always going to be relevant, and they're going for the double global as Seralith locks in the Brightwing yet again. And it's pretty interesting. Falstad is banned away, so there's not really too much in terms of globals they can pick. Nothing useful. There's that Zerg guy. I even forget what he's called. I don't see him anywhere except for Quick Match. But Joanna and Deckard Kane going to get locked in for Rock Your World and Juan Niba. 2 pretty solid picks there too. They are lacking a little bit in terms of pickoff or in terms of split push as well. Because right now, all 3 of these kind of want to be with the team at all points. So I'm wondering if they're going to be able to draft a little bit more freely for Zad and Velvet. Maybe provide a little bit of help that way. Because this is one of those maps where 1-3-1 is sometimes pretty necessary. Hanzo does have a little bit of mobility, but definitely isn't the best at pushing out waves. We'll have to see how it goes later on. And now Lior going to be banned away by Macro Machines. And that would definitely have been one of those big options. There's still a couple offlaners that can fulfill the role. There's still Hogger, Blaze. Really just them. But now I guess Zul can push pretty fast, but just isn't very good as a hero right now. And then the final ban is going to be the Vala for Roll1Esports. So they're not going to give that away. I mean, Vala is able to deal so much damage. I'm still surprised to pass through the first phase. But Junkrat going to get locked in for Dark Knight. And that's going to be pretty big for these objectives. And Ratson on the Diablo this time. Huge frontline tank. But Garrosh is available. Oh, wait, sorry. They already picked Joanna. Never mind. I guess they could go Garrosh offlane. I think they would definitely struggle to get any kind of push in. So I definitely do not recommend that. But, I mean, it is still available if they want to pick up that Grey main. I don't think it'd be necessarily bad here. They do have some instant lockdown, but it's going to be the Gazlo and Thrall instead. So it looks like Zad's going to be the official offlaner this time. Velvet's going to be playing the Thrall. Though it could go either way. Those are some interesting picks. Their team fight is really good now. I mean, with the Gazlo bomb, with the Gravel bomb, with either Centering or Earthquake, most likely Earthquake, Blessed Shield, Dragon Arrow, Stay a While and Listen. Like, they have so many options, so many heroics that they could really start fighting. But it's going to be the Illidan, the final pick for Arcane 13th. Okay, we're seeing some really interesting heroes. I don't know if it's just because it's the new patch or if it's because everyone just wants to try out something new, but this is a fun draft. Now, looking at the Illidan, I actually think it's a really good pick. I think once they get to the late game, this Illidan's going to be pretty unstoppable. But we're going to have to see. Am I wrong? Am I just saying whatever comes into my mind? Well, we'll find out in game 2. All right, and now we are loading into game number 2 between Macro Machines and Roll1Esports.
Battle begins shortly, heroes.
Once again, some pretty interesting drafts. I mean, Gazlo and Thrall, neither one super commonly picked, but definitely is a little bit overshadowed by Arcane 13th, locking in the Illidan. Going to be able to provide a lot of value this game. I think they will be able to DPS it. They're not completely auto-attack reliant, but I still think that Gazlo doesn't bring that much damage. Hanzo will a little bit, but not enough to burst down Illidan. And with the heals, should be able to just kind of out-sustain, or at the very least escape from fights where it's not looking good. But either way, both teams are going to start grouping towards the mid lane. Now, it's not going to be Scattershot. It is going to be Stormbow. And frankly, I think I do like that for this game. I think the Stormbow talents are going to be a lot better at dealing with the Illidan. Going to help with the push because I think they do lack a little bit of push even now. I like that they have sort of 2 offlaners with Velvet's Thrall and Zad's Gazlo. But they still could use a little bit of extra push coming through here. Now Dark Knight could be in a bad spot. I don't know if they still have the concussion mine, but they're going to be able to get the slow. They have the root and will be able to just absolutely burst down Dark Knight. Roll1Esports walking in confidently to take that first blood. And with that, they're going to have this extra push coming through. They were looking for that phase shift, but the burst damage just came in a little bit too fast. Now the camps are spawning, so they're just going to do some cleanup. Horniba and Dr. Evil going to look towards that. As Seralith just slowly but surely pushing away that mid lane, looking to grab that extra little bit of experience. Now it is going to be Zad versus Hoku. I've said before, I don't really know offlane matchups, but right now definitely seems Gazlo favored. I've started getting a bit better with the more common picks, but this is not a common pick. But now in the mid lane, it is going to be Ratson and Seralith now grouping as a duo to fight into Rock Your World, but with the Iron Skin will be safe, as now both teams are continuing to clear away their camps. And that is one of the downsides of Garden of Terror. The start of the game, they're usually pretty slow, because both teams just want to walk around, clear all their camps. Bruiser camp going to get finished off on the bot side, as the siege camps are also going to get locked into the top. And now 3 members together going to be able to take this final Bruiser camp. And Rock Your W is here, still trying to defend the mid lane, still trying to get some soak. But Velvet might be getting pushed in here a bit. And Rock Your World is definitely going to be coming down here, definitely going to try and help clear this away. And with this siege camp getting taken by Hoku as well, all 6 camps off the map going to be removed. But the seed is spawning over to the bot side. And with this push coming out on the top, Zad definitely going to be able to push in quite far. But now the Polymorph does come through. They have the concussion mine, but not in place. Arcane 13th will be able to get a bit of poke, but not going to be able to really provide anything else. And now they do have the root onto Seralith, but Ratson in the backline looking for Dr. Evil, looking for Zad. Hasn't used the overpower yet, but won't be able to use it in time. But it is still 4 members top trying to deal with this wave, and because of that, first seed will go over to Velvet and Roll1Esports. Now with the bomb, able to land on multiple members. Concussion mine going to keep them away. Just to learn these abilities again, I don't really get to see too much. It is Explodium Charge, Death Laser, and the Rocket Turret. May need to check it every now and then. I do apologize for that, but that's just the way she is. And now Zad once again going to get knocked backwards with a concussion mine. And it is pretty useful to do that, even if it doesn't deal a lot of damage, even if you don't push them back in. Because it does let the siege camp just keep hitting onto these structures, especially if you're able to push away the waves. Now one of these 2 siege minions will go down, second one will fall, but now they do have the shadow charge and the overpower into Zad, trying to body block a little bit, but not going to be able to do it. Dr. Evil with the extra stuns, Explodium Charge, going to keep Ratson locked down, but not enough burst damage. And the one downside I am seeing that, or we will see, it's not relevant quite yet, but as Arcane 13th, just trying to be annoying in the back line. With the scatter arrow, or with not going the scatter shot build, is that they're gonna have less % health damage into Ratson later on. But now a team fight is starting to break out. Ratson pretty low. Death Laser gonna land, but not enough to get the kill. Now once again, Arcane 13th just dealing damage into the backline, and this is the struggle with this Illidan. This Illidan can do this all game long, and this is such a good 10th pick. And that's exactly what you want from your clutch pick. Now Zad is going to be getting healed back up by Juaniba. Explodium charge. Going to get thrown out. But Arcane 13th, 1v4 in the backline, just able to get those kills and still chasing onto Dr. Evil. But is underneath those structures. And almost gets taken down by Dr. Evil. Just needed one extra auto. But that is going to be 1 seed apiece now. 1 kill apiece. There's decently sized push happening over the bot side. But unfortunately, it is the Thrall. Not the best at taking down those structures, but that's still going to be a little bit of missed soak, even though overall macro machines are definitely up in the experience category. And now once again, Arcane 13th just getting onto Dr. Evil, and there's not much Dr. Evil can do about it. Arcane 13th is just going to be able to constantly heal up, go in and out of the fight. I think this is a wonderful pick, and I'm really curious to see how these late game team fights will go. Because once level 10 is achieved by Roll1Esports and they get their heroics, they could burst down Arcane 13th. It would be difficult, but it would be doable. And now the siege camp has been taken, and Arcane 13th trying to get in the way and prevent it. They have the root. They're putting down the rocket turrets. Dr. Evil jumping in over the top. And Arcane 13th just going to get burst. Got a little bit too confident on the Illidan, but did buy a lot of time. Rocket Road, though, is here to prevent this getting taken over. Is going to get stunned. Chain CC'd. Iron Skin is going to come out eventually, but already pretty low HP. Now Sonic Arrow going to prevent Seraph from locking that in as Rocket World is getting healed up a bit, but they have the drag, and it is going to be onto Zad. Condemned trying to pull everyone back, but it's not going to be enough. Zad is going to go down. Now the Concussion Mine splitting up the fight even further. Rocket W trying to get away. The little potion is trying to keep them alive. Juaniba keep throwing out the health potions, but it's not going to be enough. Rocket World is going to get finished off, and Dr. Evil looking pretty low as well. Has the level 10 for Arcane 13th, but not going to be able to chase it down. There's going to be one more kill going the way of Macro Machines, and Hoku will be able to collect that second seed. One more for that next set. But now level 10s are coming through. It is going to be the Earthquake, Blessed Shield, a Gravel Bomb 3000, Stay a While and Listen, and the Dragon Strike. Okay, so that's interesting. It is not the Dragon Arrow. It's going to be the Dragon Strike. Going to be the DPS choice coming in for the Hanzo. As Dr. Evil and Juaniba also going to get started on their Bruiser Camp. Now for the Heroics, it's going to be Isolation, the Hunt. So it will be that global, that pseudo-global, I guess, coming in from the Illidan. Apocalypse, Riptire, and Blink Heal. Now Apocalypse is pretty interesting as well. A lot of the time, especially into high lockdown compositions, Lightning Breath is definitely more popular. But I think in this specific game, I think it's fine. Because even if the Apocalypse doesn't end up landing a stun onto anyone, it does buy more space for Arcane 13th to just play in the background. And just walking forward, doing whatever they want. And they're actually burning 2 heroics for it. And they're still chasing onto Arcane 13th. But with the phase shift coming in from Seraph, Arcane 13th even going to play aggressively, looking for Velvet. Just jumping and dealing so much damage in the backline. And that was the Blessed Shield and the Earthquake burn for that. The Hunt and Riptire were used as well, so it is 2 for 2 in terms of heroics. But in terms of the overall pressure, definitely favoring Macro Machines. And this Illidan's just so difficult to deal with. And I'm wondering if it really gets better at any point. Arcane 13th did go down once because of an aggressive play. Now the Condemn has been used onto Arcane 13th, but no extra play. And Dr. Evil looking for the Dragon Strike, but unfortunately not able to get the engage underneath that area. And that's going to be another heroic ability not available for the fight. And Earthquake, super long cooldown, 100 seconds. It's incredibly powerful during team fights, and because of that, it cannot be used when you really don't need it. But because of this, the seed is spawning, and it's going to be spawning on Macro Machine's side of the map. Will be a little bit easier for them to take, and they have the level 13 talent. So this very well could be that first set of Garden Terrors coming through. Now, Rock Your World definitely seems like they want to try slowing this down. But even with Iron Skin, I don't think they can walk forward. I don't think they can prevent this. And the first set of Garden Terrors going to get spawned in right now. Going mid, top, and bottom. And now the Hunt also going to get burned onto Zad. And with the Apocalypse to fall, able to get the Overpower into it. And with the Riptire, more than enough burst damage to take down Zad. They had to burn quite a few heroics, but they got the kill in the end. And that's all that matters. And now with that, they're going to be able to get more and more push out of it. Rock Your W almost hit, but Blessed Shield has been burned over to the backside. They have the Earthquake, they have the Dragon Strike, and it is going to land onto Arcane 13th and will be able to finish them off. And the stay a while and listen into the Dragon Strike. I think that's going to be the main combo that will let them play this out later. And with that, they will be able to defend their mid lane fort for now, but the bot lane fort's going to go down. Top lane fort, if it doesn't go down, it's going to get decently low. Most likely will get finished off here. Zad gonna try and clear this away, but it's definitely not gonna have an easy time of it. With the next stomp as well, the little bit of the seed's gonna get cleared, and so will this top lane fort. Now the real fight's still happening over the mid lane. They're still pushing in a little bit. Stormbow has been burned by Dr. Eva. They had the condemn on a Dark Knight, but no real DPS follow-up. Dragon Strike not gonna be up for 10 more seconds, so that's gonna be their next big opportunity. So Roll1Esports, they kind of went all in on this Wombo. If they can land this Wombo on multiple members, they will win a fight instantaneously. The amount of damage, the amount of AoE just everywhere, so many circles. It's going to be incredibly difficult for Macro Machines to play into it. However, if they can stay spread, if they can avoid getting caught into it, they're looking pretty strong. I think outside of those 5-5 team fights, they should be winning on the side lanes. With the Dahaka and with Arcane 13th pushing in on that Illidan. Just so powerful this game. Already at 44 attack damage, by the way, with the Unending Hatred. Just still DPSing as much as possible onto Velvet. And they're okay just trading back and forth. And just clearing away the minions as well. Just slowly but surely stacking up those attacks. And later in game it goes, the worst it's going to get. Level 16 is now up for Macro Machines. They all just kind of walk right by each other. Hoku didn't want that fight. Roll1Esports, it's the Dahaka. They know that that's one hero you cannot catch out. But the Bruiser Camp is going to get started by Roll1Esports. Next seed has spawned as well. And the Bruiser Camp going to get finished on the bot side for Macro Machines. Now hopefully with this camp and with maybe another wave or two, they will have that level 16. They will be able to fight on that even talent tier. Bruiser camps do give quite a bit, but just needs a little bit more, and they do have the wave over in this top side. And with the explosion charge, we'll be able to take it. So now level 16 for both teams. So they could look to fight here. 2 seeds already for Roll1Esports, so this would be the Garden Terrace coming out. Riptire already going to get burnt, immediately going to get canceled though. But Arcane 13th, look on the backside for the Evil, but they're not going to be able to get it. Dr. Evil is going to be able to survive. Now, Arcane 13th is getting jumped on a little bit of Juaniba, getting hit into the backline. And Arcane 13th starting to get a bit low, trying to go forward, and they're landing so many abilities, but with the healing, able to just keep DPSing, able to just keep surviving. They have the root, and with the Deathleaves, we'll be able to finish it off. And now Seralith could be in a bad spot as well. And it is that 1-for-1, but that is a major kill going over. And now Hoku not going to get stunned there, as Juaniba will finish off the last seedling. And if they're able to get this, they will have those Garden Terrors coming forward. And now Ratson is going to walk forward. They have the Condemn. They have the Explosion Charge onto 3 members. Now Seralith and the Dahaka Hoku going to go down. Seralith going to be able to dodge away on the final Death Laser. And Dark Knight just trying to buy as much time as possible. And this is working in multiple situations because they're also getting the push in the bot lane. And if Dark Knight able to get the push, but no. Rock Your World will be able to get that final Garden Terror. And they will be able to get at least somewhat of a push. Now, Hoku is still down, but 4 members of Macro Machines are now back on the map. Unfortunately, with the wave state that it was in, they're not going to be able to get too much value across every lane, but they should still be able to at least get this forward here. Now, Arcane 13 still playing forward, now has 2 members here just immediately jumping onto the backline. Makes it so much more difficult to deal with. But again, doesn't have too much damage, but the Riptire gonna hit onto 3 members, including the boss. And now Arcane 13th once again just diving to the backline, will get stunned though, and with 1 stun, but Soothing Mist gonna be able to keep them alive for now. And Stay a While and Listen will be able to prevent any further trade. And now the team fight is starting to break down. They have the Apocalypse, they have the Dragon Strike, but the Dragon Strike is behind everyone, and they're able to take down what? They're able to take down Arcane 13, they're able to take down Saralith, and now it's 3 versus 3. Which team is going to be more powerful? Dr. Evil looking to play forward, just trying to run down Dark Knight with the power shot, able to get the final hit, and it's going to be 3-for-2. And Dr. Evil still playing forward, looking towards Hoku. And a couple more hits would be able to get that kill. And with the stop will take down Hoku. So much damage coming out of that box. And I think Hoku knew they were going to get stunned. I don't think Hoku knew they were going to go down to it. And with that, they're able to get decent damage over onto this wall. Their bottom Garden Terror is able to get a pretty significant push in as well. And will be able to finish off the bot lane for it as well. So these structures, they've now evened out. Roll1Esports, with that team fight, they were able to bring it back. And that was such a close team fight. But now Ratson trying to throw back, Rock Your World, but not going to be able to. With the Iron Skin, it does burn the Iron Skin, so that is a pretty major cooldown used for a pretty low cooldown ability with the combo coming out of Ratson. But that's still going to be a pretty big lead for them. Or not an even lead, but being able to bring the game back when they have the stronger late game, when they have those extra pushes in the end for their team fight, it's going to mean quite a bit. Team fight definitely scales better into the late game. Now Arcane 13 currently at 51 stacks, so will be pretty powerful. Stormbow still only at 3. So still needs to hit 2 other heroes with it. But I'm wondering what does happen. After hitting every enemy hero, is range just going to go up? But already has the extra damage. I don't see the Stormbow build too often, so that's why I do need to read up on it. But Roll1Esports, in the meanwhile, they're playing aggressively, and they're going to steal away this Bruiser Camp. Now, the Riptire is coming out. Well, might be a little bit too late. Just going to land onto, just still considering, trying to split up the fight, but Rocky W will be okay. And it is going to be the extra oomph. So they are going to have that lower cooldown. They're going to have more of those opportunities to go forward. Now Roll1Esports, they're doing a bit of a death push over in the spot side. They have 2 camps pushing in with them. Concussion Mine not going to be able to split anyone off. Now they have the stuns over to the backline. They have so many stuns coming through with those charges. And now the Riptire gonna come through once again, dealing a decent amount of damage. Now Blessed Shield over top, and the Earthquake. Gravel Bomb not even necessary as Arcane 13 looking at the backline. And now they're all pinging onto this Illidan. They know they need to deal with this as a team. Apocalypse comes through. Saralith could be getting caught out, but with the blink, he'll able to get away. And once again, the team fight's happening over the backside. But they had to stay a while and listen. But Arcane 13's got woken up, but the final Death Lays are able to get that kill. And it's a 2-0. Saralith also in the best spot. Another Riptire coming through, able to land onto 4 members. And Dark Knight just gonna continuously send them out. 20 seconds until the next one with a Concussion Mine. Rock Your World is going to be in a pretty bad spot. But now Dark Knight could also be getting caught out, but is okay for now. And what an insane team fight coming out from Roll1Esports, but they're still struggling to push in. But now they have the stun onto Saralith, onto Ratson, and with the Dragon Strike, Ratson has nowhere to go. And even Dark Knight gets a little bit zoned away, not able to heal. And that should be the bot lane keep getting finished off by Roll1Esports. Now, how much more can they get? They will finish off their Riptire. So Dark Knight's cooldown resets are going to be over for now. 70 seconds until the next one. Now, can they defend? They have 3 members. Arcane 13 will be back up in 15 seconds. How long can they defend? A lot of the cooldowns aren't available. They have the isolation, and the Grab Bomb is going to pull multiple members in, and the Dragon Strike over top once again, but Hoku and Ratson able to walk away from that, as Hoku will get finished off by the Stormbow, and the team fights are still going. This team fight is the one that never ends. But Macro Machines finally able to push them away. But actually, they're not pushing away. They're pushing in. Arcane 13 is going to go in with Ratson. And they're dealing so much DPS. But stay a while and listen. Ratson's going to go down. They have the DPS onto Dark Knight in the backside as well. And the Earthquake going to get used. Velvet chasing onto Dark Knight. Not going to be able to get it. But Dr. Evil will go down. Arcane 13 actually winning this fight. But with the Chain Lightning. And now the Facial coming through for Arcane 13. They're still looking towards Saralith. But Arcane 13 will go down. Saralith will be able to just blink, heal away. But in the meanwhile, over in this top lane, they have the push coming in. 2 cannons and the siege camp. And actually a massive wave as well. So it's really 1-for-1 in terms of keeps. And somehow, after all that, the map state is even. It's mirrored, but it's even. And now, I don't know if I'm going to have too much more breath if these team fights are going to continue, as the Riptide That looks so slow when it's far away. Just gonna come in, not even gonna give that little bit of a poke. Just gonna get used for this guy. Dark Knight's all the way back here. And now we're gonna have a little bit of a lull. Not gonna be too many relevant seeds coming up yet. Both sides still need quite a few. Macro Machines still needs all 3, and Roll1Esports will still need 2 more seeds before they can get that next set of Garden Terrors. And it's also going to be interesting because the passive push is definitely going to be favoring Macro Machines over in the back or over in the top lane. Roll1Esports will have that push on the bot side. But with the Dahaka available, I think it still overall benefits Macro Machines a little bit more, especially considering how close that team fight was. If they're able to split off the members of Roll1Esports more, their team composition is just better equipped to deal with it. Now with that, they're going to be pushing out in this top side. Roll1Esports, they definitely look like they want to contest for this seed. And Macro Machines, they look like they really don't want to do that. Arcane 13th at 58 stacks, and that's the other thing to keep track of. This Illidan's going to keep getting stronger and stronger with every single wave. And we already saw they struggled to take down Arcane 13th. Even 1v3, he almost was able to just take everyone down. But now the push is coming out on the top side, and they will have to deal with it. Because Roll1Esports, they don't care about the seed either, as it turns out. They care about this push. And now they have a couple members. Riptire gonna get thrown down as well. Gonna land on 3 members, which will let the second Riptire come through. And they're just gonna keep setting it in. Dark Knight going to try shoving everyone away, but they're finally able to take it down. Arcane 13th not going to get hit by the ground bomb. Did use the hunt over the backside, looking for Dr. Evil. Might be going down soon, but with the Apocalypse, they will be able to get that kill. And now Arcane 13th still alive, but does get hit by the final little shot. And now Death Laser going out over top. Ratson starting to get quite low. Hoku just trying to DPS over onto everyone. And now they have the root onto Velvet, but not going to be able to get any other fight going. It is a 1-for-1 DPS for DPS. And while the push is benefiting Roll1Esports in the top side, their waves are getting shoved in bot. Their waves are getting shoved in mid. And now the fight is still going to be coming through. They're looking. Ratson's looking for the play, but will get burst down. And now they have the Scroll of Sealing onto Hoku as well. Has the satchel charge. And now Hoku going to get taken down pretty low as well. Velvet looking just to chase down this Dahaka. And with a couple of extra roots, Death Laser not going to land, but Phase Shift will. And they may actually be able to walk away. And Dark Knight currently still delaying how long it will take before this bomb goes down. And with the grenades, just aiming towards Rock Your W makes it so much more difficult. And the bottom keep did get finished off, by the way. So another huge victory for Macro Machines. And now they're looking to trade over to the top side, looking towards Hoku, as the Riptire is going to come in from behind just to get a little bit of extra poke. Going to send another set, as the second seed did just get collected by Roll1Esports. Just going to get used onto Velvet, and Velvet is going to get pushed into the backline. Arcane 13th looking for the play, but the ground bomb into the stun. It's going to be more than enough, but not enough for the kill. Death Laser going to get used for Arcane 13th, but in the meanwhile, they took down Hoku. Arcane 13th just DPSing over to the backline, trying to get onto anyone they can, and Juaniva starting to get low with a couple more hits, but with the health orbs, won't be able to survive. Dragon Strike is going to get used, but Arcane 13th can just walk around it, looking for the extra play into the backside, gets hit by the Death Laser. Power Shot just dealing as much damage as possible to Arcane 13th, and will need a little bit of healing, and will have it from the Blink Heal. Just running forward, trying to lifesteal a bit, will be able to finish down their tank. And Arcane 13th will get finished off by the charge, by the Death Laser. But Ratson's here with the Apocalypse. They're looking on to Zad, and just need a couple more hits, and Zad will go down. And Dr. Evil is the sole survivor of that team fight. And now the Giant Camp, the Siege Minions, they're pushing in mid. They already have the positioning. And Seralith even going to help a little bit, just getting a couple of extra auto attacks. Going to get a couple of extra little pokes onto this. And with the cannon, it might even go down. And if all 3 keeps go down, this would be pretty bad for Roll1Esports. They're already getting pushed in most situations. And now this wave will finish off, but nothing else will be able to land quite yet. And it's 600 HP, just a couple of pokes. They could even use Dark Knight, just throw in a Riptire, finish it off. I don't know if that'd be the optimal use, but definitely an option. So now they have the push in the mid lane. Top and bot keeps for both teams are down, so it is pretty neutralized on that front. Now the Riptire gonna get thrown out just to scout out the Siege Camp, and going to try and pull Velvet backwards. They have the polymorph, and now the hunt gonna get utilized. Velvet is gonna be in the middle of it, but Dragon Strike over to the backline with the Blessed Shield as well. Ratson in a bad spot, not gonna be able to get the stun onto Juanito with the teleport, but Arcane 13 still DPSing onto that Decker Cape, but they have the root, they have the sleep, they have the kill onto Arcane 13. Now it's just going to be the 1 for nothing, but that's going to be the 1 for nothing as the seed is spawning. 20 seconds from now, this next set of Garden Terrors will be able to push in for Roll1Esports unless Macro Machines can stop. But Ratson not even able to get the reset off. Does have the well. I don't know if they have the well ready. Doesn't seem that way. And from this, it looks like they're just planning to give it away. Hoku did make a little bit of a mistake and will get punished for it. The Dragon Strike trying to get that final bit of the siege camp with the stasis, but unfortunately not able to get both the camp and get to safety in time. And with that, it's going to be the third seed coming through and the 3 Garden Terrors pushing in. And this is where things are really going to get hairy for Macro Machines. The siege camp also going to get finished off since they're here anyway. And they only have the 1 keep left. We are now at an even state in terms of structures that are down, but the health still favoring slightly for Macro Machines. But now there's going to be 3 Garden Terrors pushing in. Riptire going to get thrown out into the mid lane. Not going to land onto anyone, so that's going to be a pretty large cooldown. And unfortunately, Concussion Mine going to push Rock Your World away. As that just walking forward, trying to build up as much space as possible. Arcane 13 still just trying to DPS over onto this Garden Terror. But it's so difficult for them. The team fight, the death ball composition is really powerful for Roll1Esports. And they will be able to finish off this middle keep. But now can Macro Machines defend their base? Can they defend their core? And it's really going to come down to that. They don't have Riptire for 40 more seconds. But now the hunt is going to get utilized. They're looking for Dr. Evil. Trying to get that DPS. Phase shift is going to come through in time. But luckily they're able to remove the stay wall. And listen, they had the Soothing Mist. But now the Earthquake just keeping everyone in the back. They're able to take down Arcane 13. They're able to take down Ratson. And that should be it. Roll1Esports already got 2. Looking for Saralith. Looking for Hoku. Saralith will be able to jump away, but the same cannot be said for the core. There's nowhere to blink out, and it will be a domination for Roll1Esports. And I was saying there's been some pretty solid series today, and I think especially that game number 2 really takes the cake there. I don't think I've ever seen a game go so back and forth. Really fun drafts. We had the Thrall, we had the Illidan, we had the Gazlowe. But in the end, the death ball composition goes forward. They win the team fight and they win the game. Now, I'm going to see if anyone's available for an interview. And then we can slowly but surely start wrapping up the night. Give me one moment as I do get ready. Okay, and they are sending a member over. Yeah, we will be having an interview today. It does seem like they're going to be sending in Rock Your World. And Rock Your World is here. Hello, hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Definitely hyped after our attempt to throw the last game.
Yeah, you are lagging a bit, just letting you know, but either way, congratulations on your 2-0 domination against Macro Machines. And let's talk that game 2. That's a pretty close series. Now, how tense was it for your team?
It was very, very panicky. It felt like we knew what we wanted when we went into the draft. As soon as they tried to like kind of take Junkrat, I guess. Like saying like okay, they're playing pokey, like we're just gonna play front to back. And then when they went Illidan, I was like, well, like we have sleep, so as long as it's like we can like counter engage on it, we should be okay. And then we kind of tried fighting too much pre-10, and then once 10s came online, it was much easier. So I think it was and then I maybe I got baited in to the first core push, because they said GG's. Because I actually said, like, I'm like, okay, I think we're done. Like, we don't have the Illidan, we don't have the Greymane, we don't have someone that has like tons of siege damage. So if they're, I was like, but they called GG's. I was like, oh, okay, I guess maybe they're giving up. So we'll go ahead and we'll walk into core and see if we can get a little bit more. And then it ended up being that, like, because we didn't get enough, they ended up getting a building off of it. I was like, that sucks. Like, I was happy leaving after our first building. But yeah, it was pretty chaotic. Definitely bottomless potions for the win.
Yeah, and there was that one team fight, and I believe that was the same one you're talking about over at that bottom keep. That team fight lasted hours, it seemed. Just I think Arcane 13th even had 2 lives on that Illidan in that team fight. Now, how was that team fight? You said there was chaos, but did you embrace the chaos, or were you trying to kind of control the chaos?
As Joe, my main goal was to put them in a stun or in a triangle. So I'm like, hopefully I can, put them in one of those, and then if all of it lands, that's what I'm calling, like, kill that guy. Because, like, as much as Brightwing can try to save them, like, Deckard had Emerald available, so, it's like that was part of the shutdown. And then, it's like, as long as we had our potions, like, I don't think Illidan can out sustain or out DPS the potion regeneration rate.
Yeah, they
So
almost
it
did.
definitely, yeah, there was a couple that got real close, and whether it be just a little bit of focus fire or just, as much as we have burst, right? Like, we've got the Thrall burst and we've got the Hanzo burst. Like, once Hanzo's dead, like, he now actually does have invincibility frames versus our team for, like, what is it, 1.5 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
So it definitely, like, came down to, can we stun him or put him in a triangle or a circle? And when it landed, he melted. And I was like, yep, that was the hope. I didn't realize he died 10 times though. Definitely it felt like it was just it was always, at a minimum, it was a trade 1-for-1 when he would, like, try and dive in on Hanzo. But looking at it now, I'm like, oh, like, he was deep, and then to his point, he can't get out. Like, once he's in, it's not like Hanzo, he could just leave.
Yeah, now I believe having an Anduin would have definitely made that game very different for you. It would have made it very difficult to try and deal with that Illidan if he did have that extra way out, but luckily it was the Brightwing. Did have a couple clutch heals with the phase shift, but in the end you were able to overcome it with your Wombo combo.
Yeah, I definitely was excited to show off that I guess we can wombo in multiple ways. Folks were sitting there. We'd put down on paper, like, so it's like, oh, we'll third ban Zeratul if we need to. And then Arcane in game 1 decided to pick Zeratul super early, and we're like, okay, well, we'll just we'll play to counter it then. and yeah, it worked out. I was it worked out much better than I thought it was going to.
Yeah. Well, with that, I have just one final question for you here. I always ask everyone
Sure
this. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to? Anything you'd like to say to all your fans out there?
Oh, it's funny. You don't realize that we give a shout out every set we play. We have a sponsor. I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Osmo. Like I said, it's been great ever since season 7, when he gave us a loot box and he officially sponsored our team. It's wonderful. I appreciate that. And yeah, and then also shout out to all of our wonderful families. Everyone on the team is a family, and we've got kids and and parents, and so yeah, I'm just so thankful to be able to play and let them play. And actually, shout out to NGS accommodating. Like, I don't know if you were in the Div B shenanigans, but they originally didn't have a Div B West.
Yes,
I
did see all that.
Yeah, so I'm really thankful that they did make a B West, because in all honesty, we wouldn't be playing this season if there wasn't a B West. So it's been a fun division, lots of competitive games, everyone's going back and forth. So I'm excited, especially in the double round robin format. It seems to be a really good season for it.
Yeah, definitely going to be good. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations on your win, and have a good night.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm excited to watch it back, and I'll see you later.
Bye-bye. And with that, sorry for not thanking all of you. I did want to make sure that we had that that proper interview, but Ghost Like Gamer, thank you for the follow and the Prime subscription and completing the sub goal. Then Zadhots with the Prime, Hype Train started, and Vendrick with the extra tier 1 sub. So huge shout out to all of you. Massive day. Overwhelming support actually coming out from everyone. So huge thank yous. And wow, yeah. I don't know. I don't think I've ever had a day with this many subscribers at once. So again, thanks very much. I'm glad you're enjoying the content. And if there's anything you ever want me to start adding, always feel free to add suggestions. I love upgrading the stream. This is something I love doing and something I want to keep doing. But now with this being the end of our double-header, we're going to be ending off the stream. I do believe I am casting tomorrow. It is going to be the only match of the day, actually. Division C, Witch Rhythm versus Maximum Thrust. That'll be at 7:15 Pacific, 10:15 Eastern. So if you'd like to give that a watch, definitely be sure to show up. And Vendrick with 1 gifted sub as well. So once again, thank you. Yeah, you know, I'm not even sure what to say. 15 subs. I think I started today at 6. That's 9 whole subs today. Yep. Thank you very much. I'm just going to head out for now. But again, thank you so much for all your support. I'll be back again tomorrow, and I hope to see all of you there. Good night.